Okay, my name is Oscar Werner. I'm the so-called moderator of these film clips that were taken between 1925 and 1928 in either Chicago or Akron, Ohio. And I am the son of Albert Werner and Mary Hayes Werner. Right now, you just saw my grandfather dive into the water. His name is Edward P. Werner. The young child that you just saw walk by is Philip Werner. He was the son of Frank Werner in Chicago. The woman on the left is Phil's mother, and I don't know her name right now. And the man in the middle, I'm not sure who he is either. This would be Phil at probably age 10. The photographer was Frank Werner. He was the father of Phil and the brother of my grandfather, Edward Werner. And he had the camera and took all these pictures. Probably he was the only one that could afford to do this. Okay, this is a swimming party in 1925. That's my grandfather holding the inner tube. His name was Edward P. Werner. We called him Pop. The man next to Pop is his brother Rich, who's his youngest brother. There were 3 brothers. And their wives there. This lady is Philip's mother, who was a Rookheim by maiden name. The Rookheims were the founders of the Cracker Jack Corporation, so they were fairly famous people in those days. Lady in the inner tube is my grandmother, Harriet Werner, married to E.P. Werner. And there's Phil Werner swimming. There's Rich Werner swimming by him there. That's Philip's mother. Here's my grandfather with his arms folded. He's Edward P. Werner. That's Rich Werner carrying a tray of liquor, it looks like. This was a family reunion in 1925, and I think it probably was held in Chicago, but it's hard to tell. There's my grandfather standing there on the right holding the bottle. He lived to be 96. I don't know if drinking all that whiskey was the reason he lived to be so old, but he made it. You don't see Frank Werner very much in this because he was a photographer, but he was one of the three brothers, and he probably was a host of this family reunion. That's Ida Werner. She is Mary's mother and Rich's wife. That's Rich on the left there. E.P. Werner, or Pop, in the middle. The other two men, I'm not sure. There's the three brothers right there. The oldest on the left, my grandfather, E.P. That's Rich in the middle, he was youngest. And Frank, the artist, and also the owner of the camera. Believe it or not, these men all lived to be fairly elderly. Rich died as a younger person than the others. There's the three wives of the three brothers. Ida on the left, Harriet in the middle, and Phil's mother, which I can't remember her first name. This is Rich speaking right now. He died before I was born. I was born in 1931. And this is my grandfather acting up again. We called him Pop. He was a lot of fun. This is Ida Werner, mother of Mary Burkus. This is my grandmother. We called her Mom. Her name was Harriet. She died in the 1940s, about the middle 40s. Looks like they're cleaning up the residue from the party. That'd be my grandmother rolling down the bank. So the party was a success. The taller man on the left, I don't know who he was. It's Frank Werner and his wife. I don't recall who this man is, but he was around a lot in these film clips. Two brothers acting like they're having an argument. Kind of reminds you of the Charlie Chaplin movies. Okay, this is my grandfather, Pop, doing the German goose step that they did back in the old days in the army in Germany. He was educated in Germany, so he knew all about that. Did a pretty good goose step. This is my great-grandfather, P.E. Werner, on the right. He was the father of the three boys. P.E. Werner was the man who printed the Encyclopedia Britannica in Akron, Ohio. Made a lot of money doing that before mishaps happened. This would be Phil's mother. And Frank Werner trying to get a kiss. He got it. Frank was an artist. He met her painting her parents' portraits in Chicago, and then he ended up marrying her. That's how he got into the Cracker Jack business. Young Phil there, I knew during World War II. He was in the Navy as a lieutenant in the Navy up at Sandpoint Naval Air Station in Seattle. And I got to know him pretty well then. And his wife, Alicia, was up there. And that's Frank. He was really a nice fellow with young kids. See, Frank was not a real young father. This would be Mary Werner Burkus, who's still alive in Akron, Ohio. And there's my Uncle Paul, brother of my father, son of Pop and Harriet. This is my Aunt Lucy, who was the oldest of 3 children my grandparents had. She was about 25 years old in this picture. On the left is my father, Albert, and my mother, Mary Hayes Werner. I'm not sure if my folks were married in 1925 or not, but they did get married. My grandmother holding the dog. Dog's name was Bingo. My grandfather on the left. Here's my uncle, Paul. Okay, they're now all coming out of my grandfather's house in Akron, Ohio. That would be Mary Burkus on the right. Here's my dad on the left holding the hat, my mother, and my Aunt Lucy. And Rich and Ida Werner. My grandfather leading my grandmother down the stairs. Miss Mary Werner Burkus and my Aunt Lucy. She was Lucy Mosbach. And my mother. There's my Uncle Paul, whose wife is still alive. Her name is Florence Werner, living in Akron, Ohio. She's 96 now. And there's my father on the left, my mother in the background. There's my grandfather, Pop. And Harriet Werner, my grandmother. There's Ida Werner, wife of Rich, mother of Mary. That's our son on the left, but I can't remember his name. This is my father doing the Charleston, and my aunt, his sister. And this is Mary. And that's Mary's father, Rich. On the woman dancing, there's my mother. She would have been about 20 years old during this. I think the young man swinging the golf club became a professional golfer, and I think he's Mary's brother. Doing this very difficult dance, I think, is Lucy. And there's my father, Albert Werner, walking on his hands. Not sure who this pretty lady is, but she's very attractive. We'll try and find out who she is. Here's Aunt Ida, who was my great aunt. That's Harriet Werner, my grandmother. We called her Mom. She was fairly strict, disciplinarian. This is E.P. Werner again. And Rich Werner. I have to give credit to Bud Schneider in Monte Vista, Arizona, for helping put these film clips together so we could all watch them on videotape. Couldn't have done it without him. It's March of 1996 as we're doing them.